code at night, huh? That's the characteristic. So anyway, we're live now. I guess we will start with you, Hinesh. You were the first online.
Yeah. So for me, I've just been looking at some code, but I'm going to rebase your changes today, see if that works. And then I'm looking for something else to do, really.
Okay. So on that, right now, we are, this is Vijaya. We're trying to clean up everything and get ready for MVP, minimum viable product. We have a meeting with the client this Thursday.
Okay.
To go over where we're at. All the last major functionality was just delivered by Arun. This week it was merged. And so, we don't want to start anything significant. We want to get to MVP and then start meeting with the client and have him drive what we do, the typical agile thing. So I think you've been poking around, I think, on the Wiki Ed project as well.
Yeah, I've had a little setup, how to go with it. Just want to get an overview of it, really. See how it works and then go from there.
Okay. I think the best person to do that either would be Sajal, who may not have time to do it, or in particular, Sage, who evidently is on vacation this week. But because he could get you the best overview. In fact, I'd like to see kind of a top-down overview of it.
Yeah.
To be honest. But have you gotten access to the waffle board for the project?
No.
So you can look at stories?
No.
Okay. Sajal, do you know how he would do that? Does he have to send his GitHub username to Sage to have him maybe added as a collaborator?
On GitHub, you're asking?
Sorry?
You're asking on GitHub. Collaborator?
Well, yeah, typically you have to be added as a collaborator to see the waffle stories, the waffle board.
Okay.
You have to be added as a collaborator to GitHub for that.
I think then you should just, like Sage told me, if anything urgent comes up, I should just email him stuff. So that will be the way to go about it, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, so if you just want to direct message maybe your GitHub username, you don't need the password, Hinesh, just your username.
Yep, that's fine.
To Sajal, and then she can contact Sage. Maybe you can get that in place.
Okay.
Then you'll be able to access the waffle board and see stories there. There are some stories that involve React. I think there's some stories that are just Rails, stuff in the middle, So anyway, take a look at that. In the meantime, I'll go back and look at Met Plus again. I think we've had some stories that are outstanding for quite a while. Excuse me. And I wonder if they're not being worked on, and maybe people will relinquish a story to somebody else if they don't have time to work on it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, okay. All right, sounds good, Hinesh. I guess next would be Sajal, who was next to join.
Yep. So I was working on the styling of the user profile pages, and I just created a PR for that, whatever changes I had done. And so I'm waiting for the reviews. That's it.
Okay, waiting for those reviews. Yep. Hear that. Arun, would you like to go next?
Sure.
Hi, Arun.
So I was working on, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I was working on the Odin project, so that was something I was spending time today, and I haven't done anything on MetPlus, so I don't have any issue under my name. So if you could, point me to some, assign me an issue, I'll gladly work on it.
Had you taken a story for WikiEd? I thought you had, hadn't you?
Yeah, but I'm currently stuck at that. I explained you that day, right? So I still haven't figured that out. So I haven't made any progress with that. It's stagnant,
Okay. Well, maybe we'll come back to that after the Scrum and talk about that. Yeah.
I actually messaged Sajal regarding that, but I was away. Sure, we could look at that.
You messaged Sage, you said?
Sajal. What is Sajal?
Oh, Sajal.
It's silent in that. It's Sajal.
Sajal. Okay.
Yeah.
Sajal. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be happy to help. I was doing something else. As I said, I was working on the profile pages. You can just ping me like at whatever stage you are stuck on. I'll just help you out.
Sure. And looks like Slack, ads do not disturb mode after 10 p.m. or something. So it looks like maybe you should turn it off, because you're awake
Yeah.
at night. Just
Yeah.
wondering.
Thanks for the advice.
It
Yeah,
was
the message, of
bad
course, still goes
recommendation.
through.
Okay.
All right, Arun, sounds good.
So nothing else from me.
Okay, thank you. All right, Vijaya, would you like to go?
Yeah. That notification thing I fixed and I update my PR. I think you merged my PR yesterday.
I did, yeah.
Today I rebasing the latest changes into my current bench the PR.
Okay, great.
That is the update.
Good. Do you have an outstanding story you're still working on, Vijaya? Or was that the last one?
Yeah, I did not assign anything. I want to work. I have to create one story related to the job seeker. And the seed data, I have to remove my. I'll update. I'll create the story today, and I will discuss tomorrow about what I want to change.
Okay, create a story. But I think did you also have another story already assigned to you? A bug story?
No, only I finished that one. I had created the PR for that one.
Okay, so that was the last one you had assigned.
Okay. Yeah.
And so you're going to create another story regarding job seeker, and then we could talk about that tomorrow. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Continuous improvement, that's important. All right, Vijay, anything else?
No, that is the update for me.
Okay, great, thank you. For myself, what I've been doing over the past few days, of course, is reviewing PRs for MetPlus, focus on MetPlus, because we are getting to the point where minimal viable product is ready. It's feature ready. We've got some bugs and a few things still outstanding that are being worked on in progress column on the waffle board, but they're all owned by somebody. I'll go through and I'll see if there's any stories that are not moving forward and ask if the person who owns the story wants to pass it on to somebody else who has time. Anyway, I'd like to get all those little things done. But anyway, we are pretty much at MVP at this point, aside from a few minor bugs, or not so minor, but anyway, quickly fixed. We have a client meeting this Thursday, and the focus there is going to be on two things. One, we'll demo the new features that have been delivered since we last talked to the client. It'll be a 2.5 week period since we talked to him. So I'll show him the feature that you just did, the job matching feature you just delivered, Arun, for instance. We'll be talking about rough idea on a production budget once we move to production servers. It'll be a monthly cost to him, so we want to start that conversation with him now at rough numbers. And lastly, we want to encourage him to get us documents for the crunchers. So the back end of the MetPlus project is a textual analysis engine that takes job descriptions and resumes and does what we call crunches. It does textual analysis and classifies job descriptions into categories and resumes into categories so that we can combine the two and tell a job seeker when their particular resume matches, a job or 10 jobs or whatever. But we need to feed the classifier so it will learn how to recognize these categories, like what a front-end Angular software developer category looks like, that kind of thing. It has to learn. So we're still waiting on job descriptions and resumes, sufficient amount of that data coming from the client, so we have to push him a little bit this Thursday. That really is kind of our special secret sauce for the system, in fact, in terms of what it can do that other job matching sites may not be able to do. Also, I've been working on the SHF project. That is a Swedish dog industry trade association. And so that's been going well. I created some stories. I've been working on a PR, some edits against it based upon feedback. And that's about it. So that's it for me, and I don't have any blockers at this point. So I guess, Sujal, right now, Arun, I know, needs your help. We spent some time on Friday with Arun, and he was walking us through the code. And because Vijay and I are not React people, we had trouble trying to help him. So looking forward, maybe if you can help him. And also, as Hinesh starts to poke through it and looks at the waffle stories, once he gets access, he may want to reach out to you this week as well. Is that okay? You okay with that?
Friday, you said.
Well, no, Friday. This past Friday, Arun walked us through the code that he was having trouble getting to work.
Okay. So right now you're telling me like helping him out. That's what I got out of it, right? Wait,
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So I don't know if you guys want to connect it now or later. It's up to you. But if you want, I could drop from the call since you don't need me anymore. Or maybe I'll stick around. If you have time, Sajal, to work with Arun now?
Yeah.
wanna do that?
First, I would like to understand the problem. Yeah.
Okay. Arun, did you want to do that now?
Sure, I'm just starting it up. It takes a while, to boot up. I'm just opening it, everything. So just give me a minute.
Yeah. Okay, well, the Scrum's done then. So I think what I'll do is I'll just hang out a little bit as you guys start walking through the problem, just listen in. Anybody else is free to as well. Hinesh, you may want to maybe give you a little bit of exposure to it.
Yeah, I'll hang out as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Arun and Sajal, when you guys are ready, have at it.
Okay. Just I wanna say I'm also new to React, so I'll try my best.
Well, you've got more experience than anybody else here, which is not saying much, maybe, but
Experience with the project, not with the framework.
are you more of a Rails person, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. While we're waiting for Arun there, I do have to say that the wiki-ed code, both the Rails stuff, the Ruby stuff, as well as the React stuff, looks very well architected and designed, and it seems to be fairly straight. It's easier to walk through the code because it's so well architected.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Initially, even I was having like trouble, but then once I like got 2-3 pull requests accepted, and then I understood the code base, then it is very like easy to get around.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been doing React now, Sajal?
I think 1 month, I can say.
Oh, that's all. Oh, okay.
Yeah, not much. I just worked on worked on replacing JS prompt by a React component. So that's the only particular task I've done in React. But then I got like before that I had done some study on it. Like shared some links with you
Yep.
and 1 or 2 tutorials. That's it. But
Yep.
then the basic thing, the props and states, and the third thing is what's the third thing?
Refs,
Sorry?
references or refs or keys, Okay,
No,
never mind.
no. Okay, no.
There's props, set state, of course, which forces a render to be scheduled, and there is a third key concept which I can't remember at this point either. As Arun said, keys to make sure that we respect immutability, and so we can be efficient on rendering. Maybe that.
Okay, so I think I'm ready. Can I share my screen? Patrick,
Oh yeah, go ahead. It's your
uh,
session now, so I'll just shut up.
let me do it. Okay, so do you guys see my screen now? Do you guys see my screen? Mhm. So I'm in the course page right now, and if I edit the details and set the course end date to some day in the past, say Jan 1, I get a button which says schedule data update showing up. So if I click on this, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
So if I click on this, I get a alert which says update schedule. So this is not really informational for the course instructor as to when it's going to when the data is going to be available, and it doesn't provide any detailed information. So the issue is to make sure that we provide information in a notification component which already exists. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, you're doing fine.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay, great. So let me open the code. So we have a needs update method. Okay, so this is something that I did. Okay, let me comment it out. So what happens is this calls the needs update method in the server actions script, passing in the slug of the course, the course identifier. So the needs update method looks like this. So it again calls another level of indirection. It calls needs update in API dot needs update, and it returns a promise. So based on that, we have a then clause and a catch clause. So then is for handling the success of getting the data back from the server, and the catch is to handle the failures. So let me open the needs update method in the API.js class. Okay, so this is where the AJAX request happens. So we are hitting a course ID needs update.json, so which goes to the courses controller needs update action, and it's just setting a flag called needs update to true and returns this JSON object. Okay. So in this method, we are issuing an AJAX request to the needs update action, and we are returning this as a promise. So when the AJAX request succeeds, we are just alerting the result. That is what we saw. So we had an alert window displaying update schedule, right? So that is from the object which has this string update schedule. So the what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to display a notification. So we have a notification component already built in. So I started with looking at this. So this returns a promise. API.needs update of course ID. It returns a promise, and on success, we are again returning an object. So this object has the two keys, the data and the action type. So what I'm trying to do is, once once the data reaches this then clause, it is going to be resolved. So a promise has to be either resolved or rejected. So when this gets returned, it goes to, we can access this here in this. So this server actions on need update again returns a promise. So this is again a promise. What I can do is I can chain methods on it. So I can chain then and catch methods on it. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to access the data, which is in the key data. Okay. So what I did was I'm trying to get the data and then displaying it as a notification. Am I making sense?
Okay, so you just whatever the message is currently displayed, you want to just
Mm-hmm.
modify it, and whatever the actual error is or the data which is passed, you want to display that.
Yeah, I want to display it in a notification component. So the problem I'm having is that the data is not being passed in properly. So if you look at my screen, you can find an error message which says cannot read property, result of undefined. So this is happening here. So when I'm calling response.result. So the problem is response is undefined. I have no idea why, because when the data reaches here, I mean in the response variable, we are returning an object, right? So it has to be passed on to the then function that is above its, yeah, that's above an layer. So it should be available here, but it's not. Is my problem clear, or do you want me to explain it again?
It's kind of, yeah, it's clear.
So if you look at the console log, you can find that I'm just logging out, logging the promise, so it returns a promise, right? So I was just logging it out, and the status is pending and the value is undefined, but it should not be. It should be resolved, and the value should be the object, which is here,
Have you seen the if anything similar has been done?
No, I don't think anything, I mean, anything that exists already which is similar to this. So I'm not sure. I think I did look at that, but I couldn't find any.
Arun, the fact that status for the promise is pending, doesn't that imply that the actual promise action has not occurred yet? And that's why the response is undefined? Is that how? I don't know anything about that, but the fact that status is pending as opposed to complete makes me suspicious that the promise.
So we can try something out. So let me try something out. So what we can do is, we might modify this. This is an object. I'm just going to return this. So we can add a console log statement. So this will only be logged if the promise is resolved at this point. Okay, so let me try. So then okay. Not sure why this linter is showing an error. Okay, so I should get a log state. I mean, the data should be logged now. Let me clear the console. So we are indeed getting the object. So it is fine at this point, and we are returning this data. So it should be available to the then clauses, that is upper end layer. So it's just chaining, right? So once it's resolved, it passes the data to the then callback. So it should be available, but I'm not sure why it's not. That's it. Do you guys hear me?
No, I saw your logic, and yeah, so it seems to have been completed, the promise function.
Yeah, it is indeed resolved at this point. So the API.needsUpdate method indeed returns the data that is passed on to this then class, so it is indeed resolved. But I'm not able to, pass this data or access this data here, but I should be able to do it based on my understanding of promises, But response is undefined, so that is the problem. It should not be, but it is undefined.
You are directly okay. I can't see your screen.
Wait a second. Can you see it now?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Wait a minute. Is it better now? I'll just increase the font size.
Yeah. Promise done.
In line 71, I don't know much about promise. I don't know anything about it, but when is the actual promise being executed? Is it line 71 or line 72?
No, you can. I could have just chained it. I wanted to log the result, so that is why I stored it in a variable. So it is not a big deal. I can just I can just chain it. So this is fine.
Yeah, try
Yeah,
that.
so
Try
this is
chaining it without the intermediate variable.
Okay, let me try it. Just give me a minute. So,
I doubt if it'll work, but just curious.
yeah, let's try it.
You need a cucumber test to set this up, so you don't have to keep doing it over again.
Yeah,
It's the equivalent of cucumber.
No, it's still the same. I was
same thing.
just logging it to see the status of the promise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure what's going on here, because up to this point I'm pretty clear what happened. So the JSON data that is returned here, it's being resolved at this point. So success of data. So when this callback is getting called, it returns the data, passing in the data to the resolve callback, which is the then callback here. So the data is being passed on. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's passed here properly. So this response variable holds the JSON object. But when I'm returning it again here, it is not being available in this method. That is a problem.
Can you describe the syntax of line 72 on? So it looks like you're defining
Okay, so
a
it's
JSON
let me
object.
just replace the fat arrow thing. So it's just a callback method. So just a callback method. So this
That's shorthand for that.
yeah, exactly, and it acts something
In
called,
response,
scoping.
response takes the return
So-
value of the preceding promise. Is that
exactly. So yeah, right. As far as my understanding, maybe I'm wrong. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's exactly this. So the fat arrow function is a replacement for this. So you don't have to, keep it nested, and they can make it flat. So that is why it's used.
If you run it like that, it has the same effect, right?
Yeah, it will obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe you can
Yeah,
try
don't
it, but,
bother. You've already tried it, I'm sure.
yeah, I think we did it.
You probably did. Yeah.
Sorry.
Can we look at server action needs update again?
Sure.
Right.
So I actually read in a Stack Overflow thread that when a data is returned in a then callback, it is being passed on to the next level of callback. So it should be passed. So it is like resolving. It is the similar to what's being done here. So we are returning the data to this resolve callback, right? So it is similar. It should be resolved with this value, with this object.
Yeah, that's what it looks like from what you're describing, that it would work that way.
And this is a shortcut, for just returning the object.
Mm-hmm. What was the? Go ahead, Sujal.
You have called dot result. Where is that defined?
No, it's the result is a key, so the server returns this JSON object. So let me.
Okay.
This is being returned, so I can just call dot result, right? So that's the message that is getting displayed.
even I haven't worked with React promises, and so I don't know this how the syntax goes.
No problem. So I think I need someone, some other pair of eyes to look, figure out what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I'm missing something in here.
And can we look at API needs update? I think we were just looking at that
Sure.
one, right? Yeah.
No, this is the one. Wait a minute. Okay, here we have it.
Okay, that's what you showed us before, and it's
Sorry.
I think it's a straight JavaScript here, huh? So promise is not a React animal; it's a JavaScript
It's AES6, I think. I guess.
thing. Yeah. Okay. It returns a new promise. So nowhere else are you creating a new promise. You don't need to do that. Intermediate that promise
No,
will
we don't.
flow upstream.
I mean, even then and catch returns a promise. So that is why I'm able to chain it here. So if you let me show. So if you look at it, and that's our action. So if you look here, this API.needs update method returns a promise. So I'm just chaining a dot then and again with dot catch, because then this then method again returns a promise.
It does. Okay.
So so logically I should be able to fetch the data. So with that.
So so the original promise is created by API needs update explicitly. The dot then implicitly returns a promise from the result of calling a function with RESP as input variable to the function, which is the return value of the API needs update promise. And that function does what we're seeing here, which is just writes the log and returns a JSON object.
Yeah, it returns the data. So at this point it is resolved. So we are not getting into this catch call, so we can just ignore that for now. So it is being passed here properly. So maybe something's wrong with this return. I mean, if something's returned in a then callback, so it is supposed to pass on to the next callback, next then callback.
I see.
So what I'm trying to tell you is, if I had another then, so this data will be available here. So if I just have, you get the idea, right?
Yeah. Now, based upon what you're saying, it looks, based upon the description of the behavior that you expect, the code looks fine. It looks like it's constructed consistent with what you're describing, how promises work, and the dot then and the dot catch and all that. To your point is, you don't need the dot catch. You may want to just comment that out right now, just to reduce the clutter.
It's not going to do anything,
It's not hurting us, no. It's not doing anything. Yep.
Can you go to the part where you are using it?
Sure. So it's here.
Function response.
So I was just let me just make it down.
Where you change the syntax.
Yeah, I just changed to a fat arrow function. It is similar to a lambda in Python or Ruby, So maybe we don't even need this, but still it is. We can just cut log. So I'm trying to display that in a notification component. So that is why it's needed.
Yep.
So this is the simplest way to reproduce this problem, So I'm just console logging the response, but it is undefined.
Okay, so then
So from what I see, there's some problem with resolving from here. It is. Wait a minute. Yeah, so it is the data is being available here properly, but it is uh, maybe I'm missing some part and with respect to that.
Hmm.
Wait a minute.
Course ID is the same as course slug. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we are just
Okay.
passing in the slug here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a minute, so we'll just. So I looked at something in here.
the place where you're calling the function, you are calling the function and then passing a response as a parameter, right? Like receiving
Yeah,
response
exactly.
as a parameter.
This is a callback, the parameter for the callback function. Yeah. Okay. Look.
So Arun, you are getting a promise object though, right? You've confirmed that?
Yeah, I'm getting a
You get it
promise object,
as a
but the
response.
status is I'm sorry, not logging it, but I'm able to see it is indeed a promise and its status is pending.
What does status pending mean for a promise? What does that mean?
It is neither resolved nor rejected, so it is still under process. It is an async thing, right? So it is still happening. We don't know anything about it, whether it's resolved or rejected.
And it gets resolved after the last then or catch chained event.
Yeah,
Chained method is executed.
if some error occurs, it gets into the catch clause, so which means the promise is rejected. So thinking about this problem, so it is not being resolved here. In server actions, it is resolved fine, but here it is not being resolved. It is still pending.
Do you
That is the
expect
main
it to
issue.
be resolved here?
Yeah, of course, because I'm returning a value from this then callback, so it passes this data.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find it thread. I just read about it somewhere. I was actually trying this out with a simple example, and I was able to get it right. So what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I'm able to find it. Um, no, I'm not able to find it, but I did try it, and I guess I sent it to Sage. Let me see. Yeah, so this is something that I tried, experimenting. So let me do it. I'm just play with it for. So is it visible?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what I'm doing is I have a function. So this is the needs update method in the API.js file. So I'm trying to emulate that with a very simple example.
Mm-hmm. So what's
So what I'm doing is
Mhm.
okay. Go on.
No, please go ahead. You were going to explain it. That's great.
Sure. So what I'm trying here is, so this a function, it's emulating this async call, but it's not really. So I'm returning a new promise and resolving it by passing in this object. So this promise constructor takes in two objects, but it is not really needed. JavaScript is forgiving, so it doesn't expect you to provide all the parameters. So this works still fine because I'm just resolving this promise with this data. So what happens is when I'm calling this a function and then attaching the then callback, this response resp should hold this data. Okay.
Mhm.
And then what I'm doing is I'm just returning. So this is a shortcut of returning the value in the lambda expression. So I'm returning a new object with name as a key and the value is Arun. Okay.
Right.
So does this function, is this clear? Is this the B function?
Yep.
So I'm calling A, it returns a promise and it is being resolved with this value, this object.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I'm returning a new object. So what happens is if I call this B function and then add a then callback, this object should hold name Arun, right? Did I make sense?
Yes.
So what I'm
So-
trying to tell you is that the data that is passed on in the bottom layer, it's available here. It should be available here because it is a signal of resolving this object. I'm resolving this promise again by passing in this data. So I have another method C. I'm just calling it at once, so immediately in work function expression. So it's not a big deal. So maybe just
the return
get rid
function,
of it.
the return value of function B is a promise. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's again a promise.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is why I'm able to chain this then again. So at this point, object should hold this thing name Arun. So it should be. Oh, wait a second. It should be Arun. So this is what the object should hold when being called back, and I'm just consoling. I'm just logging the result of this object. So if I call this method C, I'm getting it back, right? So I'm just trying to emulate the same example that we have in the code base. So the A function is what the async call. So it is, and I'm trying to emulate the Ajax request here. So I'm just returning the data by just resolving it. I'm not caring about rejecting or anything like that. And in the B function, I'm again fetching the data that is being resolved and then returning it again by just changing the key name. And in the topmost method, so in the C function, I'm just logging the result that is being returned here. So it works. Do you get it?
Yeah. So what I don't get though is there seems to be a system function called resolve. Is that correct? That you're using on line 2? You have
No, it is not. It is actually a parameter. It's wait a second. So it's not. So,
I guess the shorthand for where you're writing this is confusing me. So it looks like there's a function, previously defined function called resolve, but that's
no problem. So let me make it clear. It's
okay. So be fully verbose, huh? Right.
So this is what I'm doing. So let me solve. Okay, I'm missing a curly brace here.
So the first parameter to promise, which is this resolve, that says basically execute that function upon successful create of the promise. Is that what it means? What's the difference between resolve and the two parameters to the promise, the promise constructor?
They're the
What
callback methods. So resolve is indeed a method. That is why I'm calling it. So it is not a plain variable or something that is inbuilt. So it is a callback method.
and it is called back when the creation of a new promise succeeds. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, when I'm resolving this,
Mhm.
the thing is when I'm calling, actually getting hold of this promise object, I can attach the then callback, and that is where I'm going to use this. So that is where it is going to pass the data to. Wait a second, let me make it clear. So I have to the then method, I have a callback, right? So this callback is what resolve is about. So the resolve is
No,
passing the data to this callback, to the
yeah,
callback in the then method.
no, I get that. I
So
think
let me just rephrase.
the
Let
first.
me try to make it clear.
No, I'm just asking what event causes the first parameter to promise, which is the callback function on success. The event is that the promise is successfully created or scheduled. Is that the right term? When the promise is successfully created and scheduled for execution.
So when I'm calling this a function, it is getting executed, and it is that is the point it's going to execute the code
It's
inside
getting
the
executed
promise.
within an asynchronous thread. Okay.
Exactly.
And when it
In here I can either resolve with this data that I'm fetching, or I can just reject with some error message, and that error message is being available for the callback method.
Yeah.
That is as to the catch method. I'm sorry, it is too confusing, but I guess I'm getting it right.
No, you're making sense. This has helped. I mean, this is great because I'm learning a lot more about promise than I ever knew. Even though we probably can't help, I can't help you, but you're describing it
But I'm
correctly.
just curious because it is working properly in here, because I'm able to get this object right from this B method. I'm able to fetch it, but it is the code in the code. I mean, the actual code base is similar to this, but I'm not sure what's wrong there. I'm just it is exactly the same. I just scrapped out the complex parts.
It is the same. You have 3 levels here, and you have 3 levels in the code you're trying to get to work, and you are passing up the return value as you are here in your example. So
Exactly, but
I'm mystified too.
I'm really curious to know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I'm missing some concept, but it should. I'm not sure what's happening, so I thought maybe Sejal could help me.
I haven't worked with promises, and I think there'll be some minor syntax error, I guess.
Probably. Gotta love that about JavaScript, huh? Jesus, awful. Have you tried
It
linting?
is fun, actually. I mean,
I don't know about the syntax, but
yeah.
in your not here, the function where you're having problem, where you're calling the function needs update. Here
Here.
I can't see any attributes in the main function. Like there was course ID which was passed, and here um, you can see, right, that you should have some attribute here so that you can access it. I think, I don't know.
I'm not sure if I get you. So we are calling this needs update method by passing this.
Open your last window, the last previous window which you had open.
I mean, the console window. Is this the one?
Not the console. In Atom only, in the same editor. Okay, here.
Okay.
So when when the function gets started, needs update. So the course ID is passed, and then it's
Yeah.
used inside the function. And now the place where you're calling where you're getting the error, out here. Here you're not receiving any attribute
Data.
parameter.
Yeah, I'm not receiving the data that I should be receiving.
I think
In a function, yeah. Here.
Are you sure that this state course slug is being passed through as a valid ID, course ID, to the next level?
Yeah, of course.
Is that what you're-
Yeah, it makes that Ajax request properly. And wait a minute. Yeah, it is. It hits the courses controller needs update action, and I'm returning this JSON thing. So I'm pretty sure it is working up to this point. Server actions. So it's working properly up to this point, but resolved here. That is the issue.
The course ID has valid data.
Yeah. So if you look at this terminal, this is the slug ID that is being passed down to the server. So I don't really understand what you guys are saying. Maybe I'm missing.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I was trying to say I can't see like response coming in as a parameter so that you
Yeah,
can access it.
it is a bit confusing to be honest. So that is how promises work. So what I'm doing here is I'm just returning this object to something called resolve. So in here, resolve is a callback method. That method is what I'm defining here. Okay, so it is indeed a method, and this method receives a parameter.
Okay.
So this fat arrow function lets me strip out this function keyword, but it is indeed a callback method that I'm passing as the first parameter to then. So it is a method. So what I'm saying is it is indeed a callback method. So while I'm returning, I'm sorry again. So when this is being returned, it should be it is indeed resolved. So it should hit to the next. I mean, it should be passed on to the next then callback, which is this topmost layer. So we have three layers, right? So it is going to the bottom and then getting up. So it should be available here. And if you look at my example, I'm sorry, I opened Firefox. Okay, so if you look at the example, I'm just doing the same thing, but I'm just removing the complex spots and just making it really simple, and it indeed works. It's exactly the same thing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Promises are a bit complex. I'm not sure if I still understand them properly, but it's something that happens always with JavaScript. You never know it.
I think it's hard to for us to look at this to some degree because, for instance, in line 2, you're defining resolve to be a function, and you're using, I think it's called arrow function syntax.
Yeah, it's fat arrow function. Yeah.
Fat arrow function. Okay, and then in line 2 of function B, you have this similar looking syntax, but RESP is actually the return value of the resolution of A, and that feeds into the JSON structure that you created there. So there's two different ways in which similar syntax is being used here, I think, that are somewhat confusing.
I get you.
You know what I mean? That's one of the reasons I got stumbled when first we looked at it. It's a little confusing, this shorthand syntax. That's neither here nor there. I'm just noting that.
So
nothing we can do about it. But
the thing is, do you want me? I mean,
no, you don't have
to write this
everything else
in a plain function.
No, you don't.
I'm just asking you.
I'm just noting that next time you explain this to somebody.
Yeah, it is a bit confusing. I'm still not sure how to explain it clearly, but it is something confusing. But the thing is, this object is being returned to this REST variable, simply put. So that is what's happening. So this resolve is calling, it is a callback method. So that is what is present here. So this function B is exactly the same as this. I'm sorry. I'm missing a curly brace in here. Yeah. So what's happening is, I don't need this. So I just return. So I'm resolving this. So this resolve is a callback method. So that is this callback. This resolve is calling this callback method with this data. So you can match this resolve to this function, anonymous function that you see here. Does that make sense? So I'm just calling this function that it's meaning that the first parameter is the resolve callback, which means the promise indeed succeeded. So I'm calling this method by passing in this data. So this data goes on to this RESP. That's it. It's really simple. But having more than 2 or 3 return statements, it makes it a bit confusing. At least for me.
Yeah.
But this is what's happening. It's exactly the same thing, and it's much clearer, as you said.
It's much clearer because I mean the first line 2 of A, you're actually creating a a named function. In line 2 of B, you're actually creating an anonymous function. But anyway, I think the way you wrote it.
Yeah, it is a named function.
Yeah, it is. It's got a name. It's called resolve. That's the name of the function.
Yeah.
The second one is an anonymous function, basically doing the same
function,
thing. Yeah. What you wrote below for function B is a lot clearer to those of us who know a little bit of JavaScript, right? So that's part of the problem getting through that.
I'm not that good with JavaScript, if I have. So I'm still trying to figure it out. But so let's try. I'm not sure how to go about it. I've been stuck at this for a while. Haven't even looked at it for more than a week.
From what you're describing and from your example, it looks like your code should work. I don't see what's breaking in the chain.
Yeah. So that makes me curious. I mean, it's mysterious, right? Because it's exactly the same thing. I don't see any differences other than this Ajax request, but it's still something's not working there. And I don't think it's anything with React or anything. So it's just plain JavaScript and it just promises.
Have you studied the data flow?
No, not really. And I think I understood this problem clearly and where it hits, so I'm not really clear about the flow, but I know a bit so that it hits this call when the Ajax request is called. I'm not really clear. I would love a overview from Sage if it's available, So,
can we look at that API needs update Ajax function one more time?
Sure. So just yeah.
Okay. Return a new promise. Response. Reject.
This resolve is a method, so as you can see here.
Right.
If I'm right, we don't even need this return keyword. I mean, we can just resolve this data from what I'm saying. We don't even need the return keyword at all. So we are just resolving this, resolving the promise with the data. So I'm not sure why he had this.
I think for easier understanding, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. So that is something different from my example. So in my example, I just resolve it. It's actually it's actually being returned here. It's in the lambda expression. If it is a single expression, it gets returned. But I think it should still work. If even I don't call return, but I'm not sure. I haven't tried it out.
And you're sure that Ajax function is executing the success path, not fail?
Yes, exactly. Right? Yes.
You don't have an error path though for your Ajax function, your Ajax call.
No, it is indeed successful as I showed you in the terminal.
I think you're probably right, but it might be good to have an explicit error path as well. But you're right. We saw it return, didn't we?
And then we even logged this value.
Yep.
So I'm sorry, guys. So maybe I'm wasting your time. So let me try to even dig into it. I mean, just try for a bit. I'm not sure if I'll make any progress with this. So let's see.
Well, Arun, you didn't waste my time. I learned a lot more just following through this, which is great.
Yes, same here.
So there was that successfully completed.
Can you just one last time open the file where you're calling the function?
Sure. Yeah, it's here.
So in the promise, the needs server actions dot needs update. You
Mm-hmm.
are using the slug course dot slug as a parameter, right?
Yeah.
This part was already there, or you added this one?
Yeah, it had. If I'm right, it didn't have anything else. So it. These were all. These are all I wrote. So we only had this.
And only if you call any console dot log response inside this function, like not in then it works. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed a promise, and it is the status pending. That is what's mysterious. So a promise has three states. So it can either be resolved or rejected or in pending state. So when I try to log this here, it was pending.
So should this log should be the attribute or the response, uh, the thing which you're passing from the previous function?
I'm not sure if I got you. No, I couldn't get you.
You're passing the response object, right? Which you want to
Yeah, are
access.
you talking about this?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Go
So that's
go ahead.
what that's what you should be accepting as an attribute, right, in this function.
It could be anything. I'm just naming it for readability. It could be even or. It doesn't really
No,
matter.
no, yeah, you're
So
using response here, so you should be. I don't know what the syntax at all, so I'm just guessing. So, in the function which you are like server actions dot needs update, so you are accepting the slug as an attribute. So should you be accepting the response parameter as an attribute? I don't know.
I'm not really. I still don't understand what you are saying, but I'm passing in the slug to to the bottom layer, which is this, and it again calls another layer down.
Okay,
So I'm just passing in a method by I'm just sending the the core slug
okay.
as the parameter. That's it. So
Okay, I can't make any comment. I don't know anything about the promises.
okay, no problem. Thanks for patiently listening. I'm not sure if I made a lot of sense, but
Can you show us updates action dot needs update again? Server action dot needs up. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
yeah.
So okay. So this is a typical method call from the top layer. It takes a course ID, aka a course slug. It then now is returning a promise created by API.needs
Yeah.
update. It takes a course ID.
Exactly.
Needs update executes an Ajax method, which on success returns, what does it return?
So
Okay.
it just resolves by passing in the data.
Okay, it just returns the data and it returns that in the context of a promise result method call. Okay. And so that goes up data to server actions, right? Server actions needs update. So the return value of this,
Okay, so
the success function,
it's a promise.
is a promise.
Yeah, it is a promise. So this is where the Ajax request is being called, when I'm just trying to return. So it executes this Ajax call, and on success, call the resolve callback with the data, or else it's just going to reject. Call the reject callback with the error object.
Okay, so the 509 there returns a promise, and the promise itself returns data to when it's resolved. So when it's resolved at the next level, we have data
Yeah, exactly. So
being
this
returned
data is being passed on to this method.
as RESP.
Yeah.
And then RESP is now being used, yep, within this to
So
console
let me
log and then
that-
return as well to the next or top level.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just this is what we
Right,
had previously.
that's all you needed,
So
right?
it is,
So that object.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
have to return this.
Hmm.
Oh. Mm,
Okay, I was going to say you need 2 sets of parens there,
I
right?
had
You had it before, I'm sure.
it's just something that we change.
Don't you need another paren? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we can try.
Yeah, there you go. I can't see it, whatever it is. Have you linted this thing? See if
So it
there's
is
any-
a bit hard to read,
Well, now that you explained the syntax, it's probably better to be in terse mode like that. It's easier to read.
So a lambda expression should be enclosed within curly braces.
Mhm.
Okay. So this the thing that follows this should be a lambda expression. But in JavaScript, an object is indeed represented inside curly braces. So if I just have the curly braces here, I mean, without this parenthesis, it would look as if as if I have a syntax error, because it marks the start of the expression, and this is not Ruby, right? So you need to enclose the object within curly braces. So what we can do is I can just enclose this, which means it is an expression. So the thing that's inside this parenthesis is indeed an object.
Yep. Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
And if the expression consists of a single line, you don't need the curly braces again. Okay, so we can just omit this, but it's still the same. But we can omit the outermost curly braces if the expression only has a single line.
Hmm.
So it makes it less confusing. So this is just returning this object, to be simply put. So it's just returning this.
Right.
So it has a lot of shortcuts, and that is one of the reasons it is more confusing.
Yeah.
This fat arrow functions I'm talking about.
Right. Exactly. To get through that syntax is one thing, and then to get to the logic is something else. Or I guess we've determined that we can't help you right now, but
No problem, actually. No problem.
thanks for educating us though on promises and advanced JavaScript ECMAScript syntax. I guess.
I'm still dabbling with it. I'm trying to understand it better. It was nice, explaining things. That's when you really think about it.
Yeah, I wonder if you want to hit one of the Slack channels and ask if anybody's got experience with this. I don't know, tech. Yeah, what is it, like Tech Talk maybe?
But I thought it would.
Sure,
I could do that, but I was thinking, not to do it. I wanted to figure it on my own, but I couldn't. So I messaged Sage, and then I was talking with you, and then today I figured out that maybe I should message Sagel, So I just messaged her before the Scrum. So maybe I should do it. Maybe I should do it.
I think you should email Sage if you definitely need it, like need help urgently.
Okay, let me do it tonight. So thanks, for everyone patiently watching my screen.
Thanks for giving us a heads up on promises in React.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I think it looks like it's a wiki edu specific issue because it's your logic and code looks fine with your example and the way you constructed it, but it may not be. It may be just be a generic thing we don't understand with respect to how promises.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, so that's a difficult aspect.
So I'll try contacting Sage or post my question in the tech channel. I'll try to do it.
Okay. When you find out the answer, you got to come back to us and explain what the problem was. Now that we're
Sure.
invested in it.
I would love to
Definitely.
see how you would get around this error.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Exactly. All right. Great.
Sure. Okay.
Thanks, Arun.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Let us know how it goes. Yep. Bye for now.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, guys. Bye.